Hello, everybody. So in this video, I will tell you how to work on your course project for Math 100, which is your signature assignment, which is worth 10% of your overall grade. Okay, so I want you to know this is a very important assignment. All right, so let's get started. All right, so Math 100 course project, what in the world is that? Okay, it is a signature assignment that consists of two parts. First, you are to write a 2 to 3 page double-spaced essay on the topic chosen from the following options. There are three basic options, and you would be picking your topic under one of these three options. All right. A brief oral presentation, which is between 1 and 2 minutes, is also to be recorded and to be submitted along with your essay. So it has two parts, the written part and the video recording part. Okay, so the three options. Option number one is to pick up a data-based statistical study and debunking or questioning its validity. All right, I'll elaborate on that in a minute. Option number two, to present a mathematical application or topic in any field of your choice, which may be something that you are interested in because it's a part of your major or because it's something that you do at work or something. It has to be a mathematical application. And so again, I will talk about this a bit more in detail later. Option number three is to pick a topic from the textbook, either in four further explanations section, which is at the end of every chapter, or a topic from chapter 9, or from the new added chapter 10 of the textbook. Okay, so this may be maybe an easiest way to pick a topic because you just pick from a list of topics listed in one of these sections, right? So that's what you do first. Now, it is important for you to get your topic approved by submitting it to the assignment project topic in Canvas. It's due about 2 weeks prior to the deadline of the project itself. I want to give you 2 weeks so that you can work on the project and not to be in a hurry. All right, so it is very important that you submit your topic along with some ideas so that you can get this approved by me. Right, it's very important that you do this. Now, the project is a major assignment. It's worth 50 points, 35 for the essay, the written part, and then 15 points for the presentation. And total, it's going to worth 10% of your overall grade. Do not procrastinate, okay? Don't put it off until the last minute. This is not something you can put together in an hour or two, or not even in a day, okay? So make sure you spend enough time on this project. Okay, you can read more about the details of this assignment here. I'm not going to read everything here. By the way, this document is provided for you in the same module. You can use any of the accepted standard style of writing for academic papers, such as MLA, APA, or Chicago style of writing. The oral presentation part is going to be, of course, based on what you wrote in the essay, it's going to be between 1 and 2 minutes long. If it's too short or if it's too long, points will be deducted. So make sure you stick to the time limit. You record it using your own device, and then make sure you use a visual aid, which can be a hand-drawn graph or PowerPoint or some sort of a slide or something that you provide. Okay, you may record your presentation in basically in any format as long as I can open it and understand it. Now, do not just read your essay verbatim. This presentation is for you to explain using your own words in a conversational style, telling me what you have discovered. Okay, it has to be authentic. It cannot be scripted. That's very important for you to understand. Your presentation doesn't have to be perfect, so don't spend too much time recording yourself, right? But make sure you start early, and of course, everything should be, including the project topic. Everything should be submitted in Canvas, but you'll have a couple of weeks to work on this project, but do not wait until the last minute. I know it's busy at the end of the semester, but please do not wait until the last minute to start working on this assignment. Okay, so let's go into these options. Option number one, as I said, is to pick a topic which is a data-based article. In other words, you're going to find an article published in a magazine or newspaper or news, social media, whatever, which you don't agree with. Okay, and then you're trying to debunk it, and then it's not like you're saying I don't like this. Okay, you're going to have to give us the reasons why you think the experiment is invalid or the conclusion cannot be trusted. And so take a look at the things like population, the sample, the use of placebo, what kind of an experiment or what kind of a study that was. Try to use what you learned in chapter 1, logic, and chapter 5, statistics, in order to question or debunk the validity of the main point of the data-based article. Right. What kind of things can you think of? Well, for instance, you can find articles or news stories about a particular diet or some exercise program or supplements or about government policies, about economy, crimes, college admissions policy, education, curriculum, whatever. So look for a data-based study and try to critically analyze it. Okay, that's option number one. You don't have to do this. And by the way, there are some topics that have been written about so much that I no longer accept, such as cannabis, marijuana, vaporing and e-cigarettes, gun control, police brutality, vaccination, dangers of football, social media, credit cards, and so on. Okay, so make sure that you do not pick these topics. And here is the rubric. I want you to, if you're going to choose this option, I want you to look carefully at what you will be graded on. All right, and so be sure to pay attention to this rubric. Okay, let's go on to option number 2. By the way, option number 1, this is okay if you choose to do it. I don't really recommend it because sometimes people just pick something that they like, or they don't quite understand what I am asking you to do. Some people think, well, I like this article. I believe what the person says. I'm just going to summarize it. Okay, but again, this option number 1 is not to present a study somebody actually did. It is to critically analyze and hopefully question its validity. Okay. Option number 2 may be something that you want to choose, and it's about any kind of mathematical application, right? That you may be using on your job or in your major field or whatever you may be interested in. So for instance, mathematical applications in politics, you may be interested in fractals and nature. This is in chapter 9, applications in fine arts, such as the golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence used in things like art and music, animation, computer graphics, musical scales, chords, sabermetrics in baseball and other sports. So there are lots of things that you can discuss here. And as long as you have, let's see, look at this rubric for topic or the option 2. The essay must contain a sufficient amount of not just mathematical content, but accurate mathematical content. And the essay clearly should describe how the mathematics is used, applied in a substantial way. All right, so if you think you can do this, option 2 may be a good one for you. All right, again, pay attention to this grading rubric for option 2 if you choose to go with that option. All right, now having said all this, my my suggestion is that I strongly encourage you to consider option number 3, partly because it's new, and partly because I think it's really important for you to sort of develop an appreciation for things that are global or international in significance or relevance. Okay, so option number 3, you pick a topic from either 4 further exploration sections found at the end of each chapter, or a topic in chapter 9, which are more advanced mathematical topics, or chapter 10, which is on international topics related to mathematics. Okay, again, as the statement says, you are strongly encouraged to consider one of these topics in chapter 10, which is the brand new chapter in this new edition of the OER textbook. All right, so the four further explorations topics are things like appeal to consequence fallacies, big numbers versus small numbers, mortgage payments and comparisons, irrational fears. This is on chapter 4 on risk taking, chapter 5 on empirical rules in statistics, and so on. You know, you have these topics that you can read about in the book, chapters 1 through 8. Now, chapter 9, we don't study this chapter in this course, but it consists of several very important big topics in advanced mathematics, such as non-Euclidean geometry, Russell's paradox in logic, different degrees of infinities, and so on. Okay, so if one of these topics is something that you want to find more about, you can certainly write about one of these topics and answer some of the questions at the end of a section in chapter 9. Okay, but again, chapter 10 is where I think you should pay closest attention to, right? So this chapter has some 20 or maybe 21 different topics that you can choose from, all of them having to do with international applications of mathematics or international relevance of mathematics. All right. So for instance, there is a section on the Pythagorean theorem, section on musical scales around the world, language of numbers in different languages, license plates around seen around the world, units of measurement used around the world, the research on pi that's done around the world, and so on. Some of them have to do with history of mathematics. Okay, but anyway, you pick one of these topics, which is one of the sections, and then each section of chapter 10 has a series of questions at the end. Now, you don't have to answer all of these questions. You pick a topic, a section of chapter 10, and then you pick a few questions at the end of that section to answer. And that's how you can compose your essay and you can talk about that. Right? So that is something that I would highly encourage you to do. All right, so follow the rubric for option 3 if this is your option that you choose. Again, the big part of the points will be given to these two things. The essay accurately describes the topic with a clear understanding, and essay contains a sufficient amount of mathematical content. Okay. The reason I want to encourage you to do this is because I want you to have a global, international perspective of what we are studying. And mathematics is not just, about the Western Hemisphere or about, the Greek civilization where it came from. It has universal applications. And in fact, that's one of the beauties of mathematics because the concepts are abstract and does not depend on context. It is universally applied, and it's historically very significant in many parts of the world, including geometry. And so I think you may want to look through those topics in chapter 10. That's about 101 pages. And so take a look at those topics and see if you find something interesting. Okay, that's it. I hope you have a great time exploring one of these topics. And again, as usual, if you have any questions, please write me or ask me, and I am here to help you. All right.